Success is my drug of choice. I'm high off life. This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West. I just got done at CrossFit Warriors working with some guys on the deadlift. And something I want to share with you guys is that if you're not taught something, how will you ever know it? A lot of people say, oh man, this guy, he's stupid. He doesn't know this, he doesn't know that. But seriously, how do you know something unless it was taught to you? How are you acquiring some of this information that's out there? Now, one of the questions I got at this particular seminar, there's a bunch of questions about the deadlift, obviously. And one thing I want to talk about today is that it's okay to use your lower back during a deadlift. It is a deadlift, a death lift. It kills your whole face. It kills your lower back. Sound like something you're interested in doing? Then give it a shot. The deadlift is a brutal exercise that works your lower back, your hamstrings, your glutes, and basically works your entire body, including your upper body. That's how people get big, jacked traps, is from deadlifting heavy weights. And even sometimes you see guys that pull big weights have huge lats, huge biceps, huge erectors, huge erections, huge everything, right? All around the board. But what I wanted to share with you guys today is that a couple of people in this particular workshop were kind of suffering from rounding over quite a bit in the lower back during the deadlift. One girl in particular who came to me about 2 years ago deadlifting about 205, now deadlifts 305 at 18 years old, only weighing about 110 pounds. And when she first came to me, she deadlifted with a slightly rounded back, or actually a severely rounded back. Now, my point to her was this. When she first came in, I said, let's work on having you try to create some tension off the barbell and have your back flat. What else we're looking for is to have your hips lower than your shoulders. Hips are lower than your shoulders. We're trying to get some good leg drive. This goes for conventional or sumo. Hips lower than the shoulders, always. Can't think of anybody who lifts otherwise. Hips are always lower than the shoulders, and you want to at least try to establish some sort of neutral spine or something that you can lift with throughout the whole range of motion. There are some people that move some massive weights with a fairly rounded back, but they maintain positioning throughout the lift. Whereas some people will try to go into an arch position where they're arched too much, they're arched up way too hard, and then they'll fold back over and end up in some weird ass position. And their spine is moving around too much during the lift. And what you want to try to do is maintain a position, stay with that positioning, and keep it throughout the remainder of the entire lift. A question that came up today was about speed off the floor. How do I get faster off the floor in a deadlift? Well, let's try some speed pulls. Let's implement some speed training. Now, in order to do speed pulls properly, you need to have an optimal weight, not a maximal load, an optimal one. You can't do it with just heavy weights. So in order to increase force production and in order to work on form perfection, we're going to have to implement the dynamic effort method. The dynamic effort method is doing 8 to 10 sets of 1 to 3 repetitions. Normally in a deadlift, you're only doing singles, and normally the rest period is about a minute, sometimes a minute and a half or so, and sometimes the rest period is less. It just depends on what kind of weight you're going to use. But what I would recommend, if you feel like you're slow, you feel like speed off the floor is a real problem for you, I would recommend some sort of band or chain in training, not all the time, just for your speed work. Because if you get too used to the bands are light at the bottom, heavy at the top, and it could cause some other issues for you. But it can have a profound effect on your speed off the floor. It can teach you to become more explosive when used properly. So what I would do over the course of the next 3 weeks, I would do a 3-week wave of speed work, followed by 1 week off of it, and then continue on your path and do 3 more weeks of it and 1 more week off it. Kind of see where you stand after that period of time. Can you still do maximal deadlifts in between that? Sure you can. It's going to have to be well planned out, have to be well thought out. But during your speed sets, what I would do is week 1, I would do 8 sets of 3. Week 2, I do 9 sets of 2. And week 3, I would do 10 sets of 1. You do the math on that. Add about 5% each week. Start off with about 50 or 55% of your best pull. And make sure you're using some band. The type of band that you use is kind of going to be up to you according to your strength level. For myself, I'd probably use a grain band on our deadlift platform, which doesn't mean a whole lot to you guys, but that's about represents about 100 to 150 extra pounds at the top. If bands are hard for you to use on deadlifts, remember you can just simply stand on top of the bands. You can drape the bands over the bar and stand on them. I've done that demonstration many times, so you guys should have seen it by now. If you haven't, you can do a search for it and check it out on Rogue Fitness on their YouTube page. Type in Rogue Fitness and Mark Bell, or Rogue and Mark Bell, and you'll probably find it, or Rogue and Mark Bell and deadlift. You'll probably come across it somewhere. But that's the way you're going to want to train your deadlift. Increase the poundage by about 5% each week, and work on increasing that speed, and work on just being as explosive as you can from the floor. Remember to create some tightness before you ever even start to yank on that bar. Try to create some tightness. Pull yourself down by utilizing that barbell, and then pull like hell. One of the main things I'm seeing from people is too much stuff with the head going on. I'm noticing more and more it has a lot to do with the chin, more so than the actual dome itself, because the head positioning can be kind of up and back, and that's fine because now your head's really neutral. But what we don't want to have happen is out of the bottom of the deadlift, when you go to pull on that bar and you get a good strong yank on that bar as you get to go, a lot of people's heads are going this way and up and back, and they're kind of getting overextended in the lower back. And it's just creating like a 2 or 3 part lift, and it just looks awkward. And it's something you need to try to prevent. The best way to prevent it is kind of keep the head almost down a little bit. Don't be fearful. Don't worry. You can use your lower back to deadlift. Trust me on this one. You can use it. You're not going to die. Make sure also on your deadlifting, your deadlift training, you're keeping up on your assistance work. Always do a secondary barbell movement. What is a good secondary barbell movement to the deadlift? Anybody out there read the Dan Green article that was in Power Magazine, thepowermagazine.com? If you did, then you know the answer. The answer is a great secondary barbell movement to the deadlift is bing, 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 a deadlift. So you can do a deadlift. You can do, let's say, your speed pulls, and you can follow up your speed pulls with 4 sets of 6 of stiff leg deadlifts, or 4 sets of 6 of deficit pulls, or 5s to 5, or something along those lines. You want to get in some good quality work. Also, an exercise like a good morning is good. A squat is a great assistance movement for the deadlift as well. We're getting close to 10 minutes. I promised I wouldn't talk for 10 minutes anymore, but as soon as I promised that, there was an uproar from the Power Project Army. People got very upset. Anyway, I had a blast out here at Warriors Fitness. Anybody who wants me to come out to their facility, hit me up. Power Project Army at yahoo.com. It's always a pleasure to come around and see some of these great athletes and get around people that care, people that want to get better. Whether it be a power lifter, a CrossFitter, MMA fighter, it doesn't matter. I love getting around these types of people, love sharing the information. I love teaching people that strength is never weakness. Strength is not easy. That's one thing I really love about it, is that strength is not easy. It's not something you acquire overnight. It's something that is acquired over a long period of time. Strength is never a weakness, and that is it from supertraining.tv.